everybody, I'm Haley.
And I'm Kaylee.
And today we're reviewing The Black Phone.
Ooh, spooky. Ooh.
No, not even Halloween.
It's not. It's
a good summer.
A summer
flick.
Yeah. It's
we
nice.
had a slasher in a while? Like a summer slasher?
Not since like Fear Street.
Yeah, remember that.
That was fun. But yes, today we do have The Black Phone. Do you have anything you want to talk about before we get into it?
Other than the creepy man in the sunflowers?
That was creepy.
Let's
we should talk
this.
about that.
Let's talk about this. So I'm babysitting Kratos, my man's dog. And that means that I have to go outside and be social.
The worst.
Literally the worst part of having the dog. Not cleaning up the poop, not taking him outside, none of that. I enjoy the walks. But when you have a dog and other people have dogs, you have to like talk to people. The dog encourages conversations, which I don't want to do. So I was walking and there's another guy walking his dog and he strikes up a conversation, starts talking about, the dogs and everything. And of course, introduces himself. I introduce myself. And then we are kind of in a little bit of a trail area. It's a park, but if you start going around, it's trails, trees, a little couple fields. And we're kind of in an area where it's like kind of foresty, but there's also like a little bit of a field. And in the field, he points and he's like, "Oh, do you see those sunflowers over there?" And I'm like squinting, and I see some scraggly sunflowers in the back. Like,
you mean those weeds over there?
No, literally these like scraggly sunflowers, like way back in the field behind this like tall grass. I'm like, yeah, nice. And he's like, "Do you want to go back there and look at them with me?" And I was like, "No."
What kind of serial killer is this?
What kind of entry level bullshit is that? You need to come up with something more intense.
That was scary. That's
that
scary.
Was just, yeah, no.
That's scary.
It was very scary. I was like, no. And my excuse was that Kratos was getting hot because it's hot as hell out here. So it's like, nah, Kratos gotta go. So I'm like, no, I'm sorry. And my dog's, is getting a little heated. And he was like, okay. And luckily he did go back to the flowers because to your point, it would have been really weird if he like just kept walking with me. But I just thought that was so strange. You want me to go back into the foresty field area with you.
And I just met you.
To look at sunflowers.
That's so odd.
Unless he was like, girls like flowers.
He's like,
quick. Oh,
who doesn't love flowers?
You see those flowers over there? I'm like, absolutely not. I'm not going back there with you, sir.
That's so creepy.
It was just very odd.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really. Hopefully his plans weren't as insidious as they sound, because they sound kind of insidious.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's just really poor way to try to pick up a girl. But I'm just, why not just keep talking here? Like, I probably would have stopped the conversation anyway, because but why do we need to then go over there to see the flower? What are we going to do when we get there?
Right.
Ooh.
He picks you a bouquet.
Oh, no.
Beautiful.
Probably bees and wasps everywhere.
Beautiful flowers for a beautiful girl.
I don't know I just don't know what we were going to do when we got there.
Hopefully nothing too terrible, but
no.
That is creepy. So. Hopefully you don't see him again.
No, hopefully not. I'm going to try to pick another time of day to go walk. Yeah. But I'm like, this is that shit. I don't like it. It's annoying.
That's why we're cat people.
Yeah. No, literally. I don't have to go nowhere with her. But I did get her a cute little carriage basket. So now she has a cat little stroller, and it's smaller than like a regular stroller, but take Kiki on that. But no one can see Kiki. No one can talk to her unless they go, "Is that a cat?" And I'm like,
has that happened?
No. Okay, but I could see that happening. Yeah. Because I know someone else is a cat carrier, and she says people stop her all the time for her little cat stroller. I'm like, "Oh, is that a cat?" So we'll see. But yeah, so ladies, please don't go places with men in the forest, in the fields.
Just period. Don't go anywhere with them. That's very creepy, though. Well, speaking of things that are a little creepy, I guess I'll get into the synopsis. So, based on the short story by Joe Hill, The Black Phone is a dark, gritty thriller about a small town being terrorized by a masked maniac known as the Grabber. The Grabber has been snatching up young boys for months or years, I'm not really sure how long, when our shy, unassuming hero, Finney, becomes his next victim. After being kidnapped, Finney finds himself in a soundproof basement with nothing but a mattress and a disconnected black phone on the wall. When the phone begins to ring, Finney finds that he can speak to the boys who were previously held in the basement. With the help of the ghost, Finney must find a way to escape the hell he's found himself in before it's too late.
Very good.
Thank you.
So yes, a little bit about this wonderful film. The Black Phone was actually, everything you look at, it says it was released in 2021. That's because it premiered at the Fantastic Fest. I was going to say Feast. Fantastic Feast Fest. September 25th, 2021. Okay. It wasn't wide release until June 24th of 2022. So do with that information what you will. But the rest of us got to see it this month.
Yeah. So it was named something else?
No, it was the Black Phone.
Oh.
It was just released at a festival about a year ago. Because I swear I saw something about it a while ago. And I was like, oh, I thought this movie kind of already came out, or I've already heard about it. And then I did see that it was shown in 2021. So I guess that was more of the big reveal. I don't know. I don't know why they did that. If that's something normally that people do sometimes with movies.
I have no idea.
Because even if they preview the movie for people, don't they then show it that year, like a couple months later? Is it usually like a whole year later?
You tell us.
You tell us. Y'all tell us a lot of information.
You do. Thank you. We appreciate it.
It's rated R, of course. And it was an hour and 43 minutes. The ratings, IMDb gave it a 7.3 out of 10, which is pretty high.
That is really high.
That's actually pretty high. Higher than I thought it would be for
Me too,
IMDb.
for a thriller and everything like that.
Yes. Rotten Tomatoes, critics gave it an 84% and the audience gave it an 89%. So
wow. That's
not
pretty
too
good.
bad at all. So I was actually excited. I think the reviews were a little higher. Like when I looked at Rotten Tomatoes before, it was like in the 90s. So I think it went down a little bit to the 80s.
With more people watching. That makes sense.
When more people watched it. But I think overall people really did enjoy this movie. So a little bit about the cast. Mason Thames. Did you say Thames? Or was it Thames?
I think Thames is
either
fine.
or. No, I'm just kidding. Plays Finney. Madeline McGraw plays Gwen. Ethan Hawke plays the Grabber. Jeremy Davies plays Terrence. E. Roger Mitchell plays Detective Wright. Troy Rudisell, plays Detective Miller. James Ransom plays Max. Miguel Cazares Mora plays Robin. Rebecca Clark plays Donna. And then that's pretty much it for the main characters.
People. Yeah, there's a lot of kids.
There's a lot of kids. Lots of bullies, lots of stuff going on. So just a little bit about the movie. It was based on the short story called The Black Phone by Joe Hill. And Joe Hill wrote this in 2004. Also, fun fact, Joe Hill is also Stephen King's son.
Sure is.
He also wrote Horns that David Radcliffe starred in. I didn't watch it either, but I was like, oh, okay, because that's another kind of horror-ish thriller mystery. I don't know what you want to put
I know
in.
he did Nosferatu as well, and it became a show on AMC.
Okay, so he's had some stuff.
He has.
He did talk about the struggles of trying to be a novelist, and he said that's why he kind of started writing short stories, is because he found more success with the shorter stories.
Interesting.
But I think a couple of his novels did do really well.
Yeah.
And
Nosferatu is huge too. The one that he wrote is like that big. It's
I thought you meant the show was huge.
Oh no, the book.
What's it about? That one?
A vampire kidnapping kids, something.
Of course.
Because it's Nosferatu, which is like a vampire.
Oh, is that the name of a vampire? I had no clue what you were saying.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for that.
But like the title, like when he spells it out, looks kind of like a license plate because it's like N-O and then like an A.
Thank you.
Anyways,
that extra information. But yes, so because it was funny, the article I was reading, I think I knew Joe Hill was Stephen King's son, but I didn't put it together until they're like, and then he's Stephen King's son, because they started talking about the movie It.
Okay.
And apparently It was kind of loosely written about Stephen King's kids a little bit. Like they're saying either for them or about them or something like that. And they're like, also, spoiler, he's Stephen King's kid. So I was like, okay. But I was like, I think I knew that already. But yeah, so he wrote it in 2004. There's not too many differences between his original short story and the movie. The biggest difference, instead of him being a magician from the movie, he's a part-time clown.
Yeah.
But to me, that's not like a huge
I wouldn't
difference.
say it's a big difference.
The other difference that I saw, I don't think the article necessarily mentioned this, but the amount of kids that were on the Black Phone. In the short story, it's only Bruce, from what we can gather. But in the movie, they have, I think,
like a list, like a
couple
roster
different
of kids.
kids, like 4 different boys who are helping him. But it kind of makes sense. Obviously, the short story, it was only 30 pages long, and I think it was a 40-minute listen for you on audiobook.
Yeah.
So it's not very, obviously they had to create some more storylines and things to make it a movie length.
Yeah.
But they pretty much, from a lot of the lines to basically what happened,
it's the same.
Pretty much the same. And I guess that it makes sense because it didn't need a lot of extra stuff, I guess. Like, it didn't feel like too much needed to be changed.
If you hear anything, that's Kratos.
No, Kratos is a thirsty boy. John did say that he...
Who is John?
John?
I said that
Joe.
ugly.
His name is Joe. If I said John, that's my bad. I meant Joe. Joe, John, potato.
Right, same thing.
I'm pretty sure it's a pseudonym anyway. So. Well, Hill is.
Joe Hill.
Yeah.
I thought,
Not John. Well, John doesn't exist. Anyways. So he actually based this more off of the serial killer John Wayne Gacy, who was a part-time clown. Because a lot of people, I think, would think he based it off of it. Clown
because
thing.
of his dad, right?
But he said no, actually another serial killer that he kind of based it off of. But in the movie, they decided not to do the clown theme because it was a little bit overdone. It had already done it. Like a bunch of other movies kind of play on the clown. So, you know, what's next in line with kind of creepy kid entertainers? A magician. So, yeah, but pretty much. And then there was no mask from what I gather.
No, there's not.
Yeah.
And he tells him his name. He's like, hey, I'm Albert.
Yeah. We don't know the grabber's name in the movie. He's a lot more. I don't even think we see his face till what?
The very
end.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was a little bit more anonymous in the movie, but in the book, he is
just straight up there.
Just a man. And Joe makes very good points to say that Albert is very big in the book. Albert,
boy, they were roasting that man's body from the first page.
It was a lot, like, because I read it and I was like, whoa, the first whole page was about the grabber's large size.
Yes,
and
they just kept going and
it is made a point throughout the book to talk about his large size.
Yes.
So I don't know. Let me see what John Wayne Gacy looks like.
No, John Wayne Gacy was a thickie too. That's why.
Okay.
That makes sense. When you said that, I was like, oh, okay. That's why he was talking about how big he was. But still, the fat phobia was kind of for real.
It was a lot. Yeah, he's a big one too. So I don't know if he kind of just did that. And I'm so sorry. This John Wayne Gacy is a clown. We can't even look at it because my computer sucks. That's the creepiest thing.
No, it's scary.
It's literally terrifying. So look it up or down.
I'll put it on the screen. Just
put it on the screen. Like, horrifying. Look at this. My kids are not going near this man. He had a better chance just being, So maybe that's why. But I don't know. It just seemed like very excessive with the description. Like, even if you're making a character bigger or smaller or whatever, it was like a full page about this man's size.
Yeah.
And even like later on, it was like
it was always something.
Size,
yeah.
So.
Because like when he was like leaving the door the first time, like when he was like trying to sneak around the door, he was like, it was like a hippo doing ballet. I'm like, damn. Like,
it was a lot.
He just kept going. So
he was roasting him.
No.
I guess if you're kidnapped, you're gonna roast him.
True. But like
maybe
even in the beginning when we didn't know that was a kidnapper, well, we didn't know it was a kidnapper. He hadn't done anything yet. He was still just talking about how grotesque he was because he was so big. I was like, damn.
It was
a bit intense.
Okay. But anyway, so that's about it. On the backstory, I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward, based on a book. For once, it was like the book.
For once, that's true.
It's a short story, so you can't like mess it up too much. Yeah. Usually, books I think are super long and detailed, so they have to kind of change and cut things out. But in this case, I think when you're going off of a short story, it's a lot easier to stick to the basic
movie.
Yeah,
I agree.
So, Kaylee, what were your initial thoughts about this film?
Honestly, I was a little nervous when I saw that it was a Blumhouse production because Blumhouse is kind of known to be not great. Maybe that's Hey guys, editing Kaylee here. So when I said not great, what I really meant to say was hit or miss, because Blumhouse has been behind some really good movies. I mean, we have Get Out, we have Creep, which is really good if you haven't seen it. We have Sinister, super good. We have some iffy franchises with Paranormal Activity and Insidious and The Purge. But then we also have The Gallows. And then we also have Unfriended. So a little hit or miss.
What are some other films that they did?
They have there was that Blumhouse Amazon Prime thing that they were doing where they would release movies.
I remember that.
Yeah. And they were they were okay. So I was actually a little nervous when I saw that. But
weren't they based on holidays? Like Mother's Day and
yeah, they were.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah. So that's Blumhouse for you. So I was a little nervous, but actually I really enjoyed it. It was a lot more violent than I thought it would be with a lot of the scenes, like the daughter getting beat by her father and just like the bullies and the kids fighting. It was very violent. So that kind of, I don't know, maybe I'm a prude. Getting older, maybe I'm just a little prudish.
Well, it was very, and
it felt that way for you too?
Yeah, I feel like most of the violent scenes weren't even when Finney was kidnapped.
No.
It was outside of the school. For instance, you see this extremely traumatizing scene where his sister, Gwen, is getting beaten by her father. Yeah. And it's just so raw because it's not a lot of quick cuts or anything. It's just you're just watching her and she's just wailing and Finney's just sitting there watching in astonishment. And it's just that's just the scene. There's nothing else. Just no music, no nothing. It was really intense.
It was.
And And then when the bullying happened, there's a point where Gwen was trying to help Finney out, and she's of course hitting him. She ends up hitting one of the kids with a rock. The kid sits down and is just like bleeding almost profusely. Out of it, and he's just bleeding coming from his head. And then Gwen gets kicked in the face. Yeah, it was just so violent, and so violent.
Yeah,
it's just the way that they cut the scenes and the way that the injuries were, because like you know, usually you see like when the kids are like fighting, it's just like boop boop boop, and then of course break it up, but it would be like these kids are like hitting. Even what was his Robin?
Yeah, when he was beating the shit out of him,
beating the bully. Yeah, it was like 30 seconds of him just hit, and this kid's face is bleeding, and it's just you're just watching this kid get hit and hit and hit. It was just like, I was like, okay.
It was a lot.
So I was just shocked that there weren't more violent scenes during the actual kidnapping.
Well, thank God.
That there was in the, you know, because that's where I expected it to be.
True.
And it wasn't. It was in just this kid's horrible life before he even got kidnapped.
That was always a threat, though, because you would see Ethan Hawke's character just sitting there with the belt ready to beat his ass if he tried to escape. So it was like there's always that imminent threat of him getting beat down. And when he did get like punched in the face by Ethan Hawke's character, it was intense, but not as bad as like everything beforehand.
Yeah.
So that kind of threw me off guard a little bit, but it was nice, like, because I had listened to the book that day at work, and then when we went to the movies, I was able to pick up on lines that were like easily coming from the book and into the movie, and it was nice to see like how they padded it out a little bit more. But I really enjoyed this movie. It was pretty good, better than I expected, especially because it's just about some kid getting kidnapped. But they made it more supernatural than it was in the book, which I do enjoy. I think my favorite character was Gwen, the sister. She was a little extra sometimes, but I liked it because I feel like she made up for like the lack of what Finney's character was doing. He was a little too toned down for me, especially compared to the book. I feel like the book's Finney or Johnny, he was much more like self-motivated. He was trying to get out of there. He didn't need anybody's help to like convince him of how to get out of there. But in this movie, I felt like the kids on the phone were really trying to help him out a lot more than was necessary. But yeah, overall, I really did enjoy it. What'd you think?
I liked it. I was tense the entire time.
Oh yeah.
Like I just was so on edge because I was just like, what's going to happen? I think that Ethan Hawke did a really, really good job. He was creeping me out. Like, and I didn't know some of the jump scares got my ass, which usually doesn't happen.
Yeah, that first one, when the boy popped up out of nowhere, I was like, oh, a little scary.
Yeah, with the phone and they pan. So I thought that was really good. And because they set up the grabber to kind of, we don't know what he's doing. We don't really know his motivation. So there was a point where Vinny's sleeping and all of a sudden he wakes up and then there's the grabber just sitting there casually.
Just watching him.
It just was very creepy and eerie. And even when Finney was running around the room trying to, you know, get the advice from the phone and all this other stuff and putting stuff together and trying to get out, I was on edge. I thought the grabber was going to come down and like do something.
Especially with all that noise he was making.
He was making so much noise. But I guess it was soundproof, so.
True.
No one's going to know. But I think it did a very good job. If I feel like a movie is making me feel something, it did a good job. I was feeling anxious. I was feeling for the characters. Yeah. I was like tense and on edge, but not in a horrible way because some movies do that. What was that one movie, Life? That movie had me on edge in a worse way. I'd never want to see that movie again.
The one where he's on a boat?
No, Life where no, not that one. I think they're in space. I think Ryan Reynolds and and the alien gets loose and it's just tearing around.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Anyway, watch it and you're going to be on edge the entire time and it ends terribly. It was never again. Sorry, side note. But this one, it was kind of like I was an intrigue tense of like what's going to happen. So I really liked that. I thought Ethan Hawke did a really good job just being creepy and delivering the lines. Yeah. And I know you said you didn't really like Finney's acting. I liked it. I got it. I think his character was supposed to be this beat down. He didn't really stick up for himself. He tries to just be invisible. Yeah. So I liked the acting in this movie. I think that some of the lines they gave Gwen were a little extra, but I liked her character a lot. And I still think that they all did a really good job. I did like the supernatural aspect of it. I wish they kind of went into it a little bit more. I was a little confused on some things. Yeah. But overall, thought it was great. I liked how I did feel like Finney did redeem himself in the end, but not in a forced way. I feel like it made sense. You know, sometimes I feel like they force the character development, but I think I felt like I did see it. He did have to stick up for himself, his motivation for getting out. And then we saw his sister trying to help him out. I liked it.
So let's talk about the biggest change to me was like the family dynamic from the book to the movie. So in the book, his parents are together. They're like, I mean, they argued a little bit because like it was years of people getting kidnapped by the grabber. And this one, in the movie, I don't know how long this has been going on, but in the book it was years. And the mom was like, we got to move. And the dad's like, you crazy, chill out. We're fine. And then, you know, their kid gets kidnapped. So oops. But like, there's not an abusive household. But with the movie, it was just a single father. He was an alcoholic. He was abusive. And like the mom had passed away. I suggested that she had committed suicide because she had some kind of psychic abilities that Gwen also has, and obviously Finney has something too, and it drove her to hurt herself. So the reason why he was beating Gwen was to like, because he didn't want her to go down that road, so he thought he would just beat her instead, I guess. I just don't know how I feel about such an abusive household in this movie. Like, I understand because, like, Finney would make a good subject for him to get kidnapped because he's used to not really defending himself or being in a position that he's always very vulnerable. But I didn't get the conclusion that he had grown as much. I feel like with him killing the guy, it did show that. But then, like, with his father just being like, forgive me, instead of Finney kicking his dad's ass for kicking his sister's ass. I don't know. I think that would have made it a little bit more cohesive with that storyline. But I also just don't really understand like the whole family abuse dynamic that they put in there.
Yeah, I agree. I do think that was, I don't even want to say forced, just not flushed out very well.
No.
Because it seemed like if you took that aspect out of it, you would have had the same movie.
Exactly.
So that's why I agree with that.
He could have just been neglectful. He didn't have to be abusive. He could have just been neglectful.
Yeah. The abuse, unless they're going to bring it full circle, because I do agree at the end when the dad just kind of was crying and hugging them. I was just like, I don't think I fully understood what arc the dad went through for him to be here. And I just don't. And to your point, we don't really get to see Finn's new mindset with his dad now. It was just his dad was crying. I guess we're supposed to be under the assumption that the dad was trying to protect them, but became abusive in doing so. And then in the end, we're supposed to get that he's sorry and that he realized the errors of his way.
Yeah.
But I agree. Wasn't fleshed out. Could have been left out, I think. I did when I was reading some of the article, the Vanity Fair article. They were also talking about how they wanted to make life in the 70s, late 70s, more grim. I think people have like
oh, it definitely was.
Yes. I think people have like this good memory of the 70s and all this stuff, but they were saying they really wanted to show another side of the 70s that was lonely and was just not as great as everybody may remember. So I don't know if they're trying to really hone in on that. I don't know. Maybe they're making a point. Was there more abuse going on in the 70s with alcohol? I'm like, are they trying to tie in some cultural aspects of the time into this?
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
I wasn't there in the 70s, but
we
that's what I maybe kind of got from it. But I don't think it just came across very well.
No, I agree. I think they didn't flesh it out.
Violent. Yeah, like they're just trying to see where else they can get somebody in to get beat somewhere, like the kids at school and then
at home.
It was just very all over the place because Robin was standing up for himself, so he's being the bully, but then there's not one bully, there's all these other bullies and all the group of kid bullies. It's getting a lot of tropes. You get the main big bully, then you have the group of bullies, then you have the kid that stood up for himself, then you have Finn, then you have Gwen, who's it was a little scattered to me, and I wasn't sure what direction they're trying to go in because they could have just cut out the bully part with Robin and just had Robin kind of stand up for Finn with the other group of kids. And maybe he beat up the other kids. But I'm like, why are they trying to show there's bullies on every corner? I think there's bullies at home.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
It was a little scattered to me. Yeah. So that part was a little okay. But I know they're trying to make Finn's character to be kind of
meekish.
Yes. And he's not, standing up for himself. Blah, blah, hootity hoot. So that was, I do agree with you there. Some of the extra storylines going on.
Yeah. That's why I really enjoyed Finney's character in the book because I feel like he was much more resourceful. Like he was really struggling in the book. He was trying to figure out, he was blinded most of the time he was down there too because of the wasp spray. So, but he was like over here like digging around. Like he didn't need anybody to tell him like, oh, here's this, oh, here's that. So in the book, it worked, but I don't think if he was as resourceful in the movie, it would have worked because they wanted to tie in the ghost aspect too. Yeah. So I kind of understand it, but I preferred Finney in the book than I did in the movie because he just seemed to care about living and he had more of a survival instinct than Finney in the book or in the movie. Sorry. But yeah. Did you feel that way? Did you have a difference between how you felt about the characters?
I didn't feel any different. I think that it made the book faster. But since it's a movie and we're coming with a kid who probably is, like you said, meek and not as has much of a will to try to. He doesn't think very much of himself.
No, yeah.
But I didn't mind that aspect of it. I thought it was nice to see the boys of the past, and then kind of Bruce helping him out, and the other characters helping him out. Like, you need to be the one, and then Robin at the end helping him. So I actually didn't mind it. I thought that it made sense.
Yeah.
And makes for a little bit of a longer movie if the kid's not figuring out everything for himself.
Yeah.
And to come together in the end. I don't know if the ghosts did that on purpose, because it seemed like they're like trying to get him like dig a tunnel, but then he obviously can't dig a tunnel, but it helped him. So I'm like, I don't know if the ghosts were really like could see the future and were really setting him up for that, but they just didn't want to tell him exactly what was going on.
That's ghosts for you. You know, and everything, they work in mysterious ways.
I want to tell you.
The one ghost that really pissed me off was the one with the lock. He's like, oh, it's my bike lock. I wrote it down, but I can't remember the order. I'm like, oh my God. I would have been pissed off about me, bro.
And sorry, on the violence thing again, what was that one kid's name? He was like, that was the flashback, and then they showed one of the kids. He's not one that we saw originally, but
the one who had like the knife and like was riding on that one kid.
Yes.
At the pinball machine.
That was another violent moment. He's beating a kid up. And I'm like, what was the point of him being violent? Was he supposed to be the one to like, what was his message for Finn? He was telling him to get to the freezer.
Yeah. And then it also helped with Gwenny because she got in the cop car with him and he wrote down the number of the house. And yeah.
It was just, I didn't really get why that character was such a bully, because they were showing that one of the boys that got taken wasn't like a very nice kid. But I didn't know if that was supposed to mean anything, because I was like, well, maybe he's going to toughen Finney up, but he didn't really. So once again, I was just a little confused about some of the bullying.
There was a lot of violence.
It was just kind of random at some point. I'm like, okay, I get it, but is this supposed to mean, is this adding to anything? It didn't seem like it was. But like I said, maybe they're just trying to show that kids are mean. We knew that.
We're seeing the dark side of the 70s.
Of children. Yes. And the kids were bad. And the parents didn't parent right. And the detectives are worthless. But if we're being honest, a lot of serial killers were thriving in like the 70s and 80s. There's a ton.
Speaking of like the detectives, the fact that they had Gwen on standby as their sidekick was kind of funny.
That was foolish. I mean, it did work out because she was psychic, but
because
I'm like, y'all have no leads. This man is running around with abracadabra on his black truck with black balloons hanging out of him,
right? And not even hidden.
Kids
not even hidden.
With a mask. I would have caught this man years ago. Hey, my neighbor.
Right. He's got a weird black van and he has 2 homes in our neighborhood.
He's wearing some masks. He's dragging bodies across the street at 3 a.m.
Right.
I just don't know how anyone didn't catch him. But obviously you wouldn't have a movie if they caught him. But it was just the detectives didn't seem to be putting 2 and 2 together very well. And then that coked up brother, he didn't do a thing. He was like, I'm going to figure it out. Didn't figure anything out. Well, he kind of did.
Well, he was like, oh, there's a kid down here. Come on. And then got his ass axed.
Literally. And then can we talk about the point where Finney does escape? Because you mentioned the bike lock. Finney escapes. He gets past the grabber because the grabber falls asleep upstairs, gets the code to unlock the screen door or whatever door he had to get out through, starts taking off. The grabber chases after him. The grabber doesn't even try to go on foot. He said, I'm not making it. So he gets in his van. Finney decides to run along the sidewalk instead of, cutting into backyards and hiding in bushes and going places cars can't go. So then he gets cut off by the van. The grabber comes out, gets him. Somebody literally heard the commotion.
Yeah.
You can see the porch light flickers on, and I guess nobody has brains enough to come out and go, why is there a van
in the middle of
not even the road? It was in the yard at this point.
Oh, true. Yep.
And they're like, guess not. Click. That's the problem with the 70s, okay? Everybody minded their business.
Yeah,
Be a little more nosy, because you better believe if there's a grabber in the vicinity and I hear some screaming and some hoopla and I see a creepy black van, I'm calling the police.
Right.
But
yeah, it just
wouldn't have a movie. So
that's true. But he also didn't even start screaming. Like, if I knew I was already being chased, I would start screaming right then and there.
No, I'm screaming. He was doing a little too much breathing. Maybe he was tired and out of, he didn't really eat. He didn't really get to drink.
That's true.
But I'm screaming, help, the grabber! Whatever. He's right here.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything. He said, he's like,
you see what I mean? No survival instinct. He was just running.
I'm trying to think of anything else that happened. Oh, I wish that they went back into the backstory of the grabber a little bit more. I know they've done the short story, but in the short story, I feel like the short story just set him up to be like a regular creepy killer, child killer man. So there wasn't too much. But I guess they did in the book too. Okay, so one of the things is the grabber mentions, and he does mention this in the book as well, that he could hear the phone sometimes.
Yes.
So there's a supernatural element to it. So the grabber mentions he can hear the phone.
The black phone.
Finney can hear the black phone. And when Finney is speaking to the kids on the phone in both the book and the movie, they mention that no one else can hear it except for Finney heard it and the grabber heard it.
Yeah.
They said that they tried to call the other boys before, but no one else could hear it.
Yeah.
So I was kind of confused. I'm like, sorry. I thought they were going to go a little bit more into the supernatural element, or like not necessarily the powers, but I'm like, what's the backstory on the grabber now?
Yeah.
He seems to have powers. Why did he keep the phone there? I was just like, why is the phone still on the wall? Did he do it just to be like menacing to the kids there? Like, oh, so close but so far away type thing?
I don't know. That's true.
It was just very confusing. Like, why is it here? You can hear it ring.
And something interesting too is that he said that the phone had, in the book, I don't know if he said it in the movie, but he said that the phone had always been there when he was a kid. So was he in the basement before? Was he snatched up and then like the guy ended up dying and he took over? I don't know. It's
how
a little.
Long has it been going on?
Yeah. So if maybe he does have some psychic abilities, or maybe they just want to torment the guy, because that's what they kind of made it seem like in the book, was that they were pranking him. They were like, yeah, we like to fuck with him, so we call him and just yell at him, but he can't hear us. I don't know.
Yeah, I wasn't really clear about that.
It was a little confusing, but
I would have liked to know a little bit more about the backstory. Because I'm like, okay, unless they're just saying that he's just your basic child pedophile killer,
right?
But. Well, I don't know if even pedophile. I don't really know what the MO was. I don't know if he just kills the kids, if he's like doing other things to the kids, or they even said you got to play the game. So I'm like, there's a game aspect of it. He's wearing these masks. He clearly had an attachment to his mask, because when he took it off, he acted like his face was burning.
Yeah.
So I was just like, it seemed like there was more to the killer's character than what we were given. And maybe that was strategic. They just kind of want to leave it as this weird guy. But I guess I was at the end, when it just kind of ended and that was it. I was like, oh, I kind of wanted a little bit more of like, what was going on. It just seemed like there was more mysteries, like why was the black phone here? No one's going to talk about the fact that there's
a disconnected black phone on the wall. Yeah,
with that, or the fact that only certain people can hear it.
Oh,
obviously Finney has some powers as well, unless they're just saying some people got it, some people don't.
I think with the book, I liked how you knew what he looked like. There was no mystery about that. You knew what his name was, so it made it seem like it was just, they hide in plain sight, kind of. But with this one, like he had a mask on, and I don't know how often he wore that mask. Did he wear it everywhere? Because then it would be a little suspicious.
Well, when he got kidnapped, I don't think he had a mask on, but they were making a point
to
hide. I thought they were making a point to hide his face, because you couldn't really see his face, but I wasn't convinced.
I thought he had
like
on. Half of it on, and like sunglasses and like a hat. That's what I remember whenever he kidnapped Finney. Okay. And that's why he was like, I'm a magician. That's why I look like this. I ain't never seen a magician look like that. That's more of a clown.
I was very confused. But so I guess I was kind of intrigued of like, what is all going on? Because I felt like even with the kids, today's the day, you're different, or they're just like, he's playing the game. I was like, oh, we're going to figure out some kind of bigger thing. And it wasn't really anything.
No. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I wish they kind of went into a little bit more, but I feel like with these movies, we're not going to get much. They're going to be pretty surface level.
And maybe leave it up to us. Yeah, leave it up to. I hate that. Stop leaving it up to us. But I get it. It was just more of. It wasn't about maybe the killer as much, but
kind of, a little bit.
I don't know.
Because I mean, even with like, in the beginning, it was Gwenny and Finney talking, and they're like, Finn didn't want to say the name of the grabber because they're like, that's not true. If you say his name, that he's going to be there. But then when he did say the name, like the car passed by and it was the grabber. So is it connected? Are they connected in some way? Spiritually? I don't know. Metaphysically? I don't know. It's a lot. But it was an interesting concept, and I enjoyed it.
Yes.
I would also recommend the audiobook. The guy who was reading it really got into it. And like you felt like he was Finney going like through like breathing hard. Like he did a really good job. I really enjoyed it. Is that it? Are we done?
I guess so.
I mean, there wasn't really much to it. That boy was kidnapped in a basement for a few days and got out.
Yes, he did.
And killed a man on the way. Oh, speaking of which, now I'm going to school the next day, and they're like, oh my God, that's the 70s. One who killed somebody. Like
that's the 70s for you. No therapy, just vibes and wishes for the best. Those detectives, they suck so bad. I'm just following the girl around the whole time.
No,
like,
they
let
really
us know when you get a lead, please.
Right. Tell us if you have another one of them dreams. But yeah, he really just got clout for murdering a man and having trauma. So
literally.
And then he got the girl.
She's like, hey,
Finn,
heard you killed a man.
You can call me Finn.
I said no. Finney. Not him going from Finn to Finney, but isn't his name John
in the book? Yeah,
John in the book.
Yeah, because that's in the movie. The guy was like, "You have my word, Johnny," but it didn't seem like that meant anything. So his name really was like Finney something in the movie, but in the book, Finney might have been like a nickname.
Just a nickname, but
yeah,
okay,
yeah. But what do you give this movie out of 5?
Out of 5, I think I'd give it a 3 out of 5. 3.5 out of 5. I don't want to say it's a straight up 3, but I don't necessarily want to give it a 4. I liked it. But I guess these are harder movies to make good. I'm trying to feel like why I wouldn't give it a 4.
I mean, it wasn't anything really special.
Damn.
I mean, like we were talking about it before, like there's lots of movies where there's a phone call and like you connect to somebody who's like either not there anymore, like dead, or that they're from the past. Like there's this one called The Call, and it was like that too. I recommend that movie. It was pretty good if you like phone calls that are mysterious. But it was good, but it wasn't anything like, wow, breathtaking. Oh my God, didn't see that coming.
Yeah, it was very, I mean, you can kind of see where things were going, but it did keep me on edge. So I did like it. I think it was a good movie.
It did keep me tense as well. The one thing that didn't keep me tense was the theater that we were in. There was a whole bunch of kids behind us laughing at everything the grabber said. I'm like, guys, I don't think he was being funny.
No. They were keying it up. And then when I saw him, I was like, I forgot teenagers are allowed in here.
There's a lot of
12.
kids.
I said, y'all need to be paying attention and not get got by the grabber.
They said,
no more help. And why are we letting our kids roam? If I know there's a grabber, my kids are getting driven everywhere, to and from.
Not Gwen just walking to her friend's house by herself with nobody around.
I thought it was gonna be her for a second.
Me too.
And then Finn was gonna go second, but I guess the girls aren't taken. So.
It's just the boys. And then there's like somebody next to us who was like really enjoying their food and just unraveling their aluminum in the quiet scenes. It was like,
it's already tense enough, and he's chomping over there. I'm like, open it on the loud scenes when things are happening.
Read the room. I feel like the pandemic really, really, really hindered theater etiquette from now on, because people don't know how to act. They think they're at home.
Maybe it always happened. We just got used to less people being there.
Maybe that is what it is.
And now we're being forced back into society. And the last 2 times we went to the movies together, somebody's been in our seat.
The first time we were running a little late. That was to Top Gun, and there's like this older couple in our seat, and they were like, "Oh, sorry," and they had to go sit in the front. And then, when we got there, the movie hadn't even started yet, and they were just sitting in our seat,
like,
and they were just chilling. They were just looking at us, and I'm like looking at my tickets. I'm like, "These are ours." He said, "Oh, okay, we're back."
They knew that. They knew. They're like, "Damn, we got caught." I'm like, I forgot about you people. Y'all don't even have seats. Y'all just movie hopping. I forgot about all y'all at the movies. Not that I care.
Yeah,
but
bums.
It's always awkward when you're like,
it always happens to us. They happen to be in our seats.
It's always our seats. I don't know if it's because we get the end seat all the time or what, but
I don't like to sit in the middle. I like to sit on the end. Anyways, so yes, what's your rating?
I'll say 3.5 out of 5.
Okay, I think I'm gonna give it a 3.
Okay,
it's for everything that I already said. It's a pretty average experience, or it's an average plot. The experience was very intense. I did feel tense as well, even though I knew what was going to happen because I read the book beforehand. But I enjoyed the experience, but it's nothing that stood out to me. So it's above average, though. That's why I gave it a 3. Things that are also above average.
Things are about average.
Our Instagram at Haley and Kaylee. We also have a TikTok at Press Podcast, where we have other content on there as well. And we also have a website at Press Podcast, where you can find our blogs and our podcasts. What else do we have?
Well, if you want to watch us and our beautiful faces, you can head over to our YouTube channel at Haley and Kaylee and watch all of our reviews and some other random videos we have hanging around in there. You can also listen to us on Spotify, Apple iTunes, anywhere else you listen to your podcast at. So if you don't want to look at us, sad face, but whatever, it is what it is. You can listen to us there. And if you want to email us, you can email us at presspodcast@gmail.com, where we just read your emails. I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, send us comments, questions, concerns, movies we should review, why we were wrong, etc., etc. Or you can just comment below for all that.
True. So, comment down below.
Comment below, rate, comment, subscribe, notification bell. Ignore my scar.
Oof.
My rug burn. But anyway.
But yes, we don't know what we're talking about next time. But this month, what is it, July? Yes. Nope is coming out.
I'm so excited.
And we're definitely talking about that.
I'm tired of y'all putting the entire damn movie in the trailer. Stop. And for movies like that, I need to see maybe 30 seconds. I don't need to see much.
Yeah.
See Keke Palmer. I'm excited for her.
Steven Yeun.
Yep. Excited for, yes, Glenn. And then Daniel Kaluuya.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of big people in this, but when the trailer came on for this movie, I did not watch. Yes. I was humming in my ears. I was not about to ruin it for me, because then you and Tristan were watching the trailer, and like Tristan felt the same way that you did, and it's like, I don't even know if I want to watch it anymore.
I just saw the whole movie. Please, sometimes, no, all the time,
less is more.
I don't want to see, I want to see a little bit about the beginning, a little bit of the plot that we're getting into, and then we're done. I don't need to see the progression of beginning, middle, end.
This time it was a long trailer.
It was a
too.
long
It was
trailer.
really disrespectful.
Stop doing that. I don't want to see the film. I'm like excited, especially for Jordan Peele's movies.
Everybody's already hyped.
They're so different. They're so crazy. I kind of don't want to know.
You don't have to build up hype by showing the whole trailer. They're already excited to see this.
I would just see it based on if he didn't even have a trailer. Imagine just Nope. I would literally be the first one in the theater. I don't want to even know what it's about, because I trust that Jordan Peele is going to come up with a good movie, even though the last one, I think there were mixed reviews, but I know it's at least going to be interesting. Like I'm not I'm going to like the plot.
Yes. So we're excited to talk about that, obviously.
So we will be talking about Nope.
But I don't know what we're talking about before that. So I guess you'll figure it out with us.
Stay tuned. You'll have to rate, comment, subscribe.
So subscribe.